Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and today's video is going to be a mood reading vlog. So before I get into the video, please remember to like this video if you enjoy it and to subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. I post videos every Sunday. So I'm just coming off the back of Christmas where I did read Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson, which was quite an intense fantasy book. So I kind of want to read a little bit of romance and then a few fantasy books that aren't too heavy, or at least not as heavy as that book, literally. So I'm in the mood for a bit of romance and a little bit of fantasy as well. There's a couple of fantasy books that I've been wanting to get to for a while, and then a couple of romances as well. So the first book I'm hoping to get to is Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I read his Faithful and the Fallen series and I really enjoyed them, and I've been desperate to get to this book. I've had this on my shelf for so long, but I wanted to wrap that series up before I started this one. So yeah, really excited to get to this one. The other fantasy book that I'm hoping to read is Firefight by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 of the Reckoners series. I read the first one maybe just at the end of 2023, I think, and I really enjoyed it. I've been meaning to carry on for a while. So yeah, really excited to read this one. And then a couple of romance books I would like to read. I've got The Score by Elle Kennedy. This is a ice hockey romance book, the third in the off-campus series, and I'm really enjoying this series so far, so can't wait to get to this one. And then finally, I'm also hoping to get to Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. This is the first book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. I read the Chestnut Spring series by her last year now, and I really enjoyed it. I've been really excited to try more of her works out, so let's get reading. So I've now read just under 40% of Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. I'm reading this one on my Kindle, but I do have a physical copy of it. I'm really enjoying this one so far. So we're following Vaughan and Billy. So Vaughan is the grandson of the owner of a company called Gold Rush Industries, I think it's called, and they own like a mining company or something to do with like a mining company's been mentioned. I'm not really quite sure what they fully do. And then his grandfather also owned a ranch called Gold Rush Ranch, and at the ranch they breed and raise horses to horse race. Vaughan's grandfather recently passed away, and it came about that there's been a bit of a scandal involving him. It seems that he's been like fixing races or something, so they've been banned for racing for a few months, and the ranch is in a bit of money trouble because they've sunk like quite a lot of money into this stallion who no one can race because he's not aggressive, but like he's like quite a scared horse, and no one wants to spend time like trying to sort of get to know him, like make him less fearful of humans. So Vaughan takes over the ranch, and someone else involved in the ranch, I'm not quite sure what his job is, but Hank, he suggests that they hire a friend of his called Billy who can train the horses. Vaughan assumes that Billy is a man, and obviously she turns out to be a woman, and she is a very good horse trainer. He offers her the job, but on the conditions that if she's not very good after like 6 months, that he can fire her and get someone else in. He has no intentions of keeping her around. He's just kind of hired her to keep Hank happy, but it turns out she's actually really good at her job. She spends a lot of time with Double Diablo, the horse, the stallion that I mentioned, who's quite difficult to race, and we've just gotten to the point where they have just entered Double Diablo into a race. So that's sort of like the horsey cowboy aspect of this one. And Vaughan is instantly attracted to Billy. He's very like rude to her from the get-go, very standoffish, and like he almost won't admit to himself that he likes her, but the attraction is there. They've had like a few sort of instances of like, you know, brushing hands and things like that, and yeah, I'm really starting to see the romance start to blossom in this one. I'm not sure where it's going to go. The thing that is holding him back is that he doesn't want to step over any lines. Obviously he's the owner or co-owner of Gold Rush Ranch with his brother, and he doesn't want to put Billy in an awkward position because she's working for him. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go. I do think there's going to be maybe a bit of conflict in the third act revolving around his family, because brother has just met Billy at the races and he's very rude and like, yeah, like a proper trust fund baby, as Billy says. But yeah, it's really good so far. I'm really loving the small town vibes of this one. Like Elsie Silver just writes that really well. Violet, who is the sister of the part of the Eaton family, she is in this series. She's been mentioned quite a few times, and she is working at Gold Rush Ranch. So I'm wondering if I don't know who the later books in this series follow, but I'm wondering if maybe she gets her own book. But yeah, I'm really excited to continue reading this one. I'm loving being back in this world. Like, it's all interconnected. I just love the small town romances that Elsie Silver writes. They're such quick and fun reads, and yeah, I'm hoping to maybe get this one finished today, but we'll see. But yeah, I'll check back in with you guys when I've got a bit more to say. So I've now finished Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. I think I'm going to give this one a 4 stars. So I did really enjoy it. I really loved learning about the racing side of horse ownership and all that kind of everything involved with that. I've never had horses, like they are very expensive, like I've never really been into them. Like they're beautiful creatures, don't get me wrong, they're lovely, but like I've never, you know, I didn't grow up on a farm or anything like that, so I knew nothing about horses or anything like that. So it's really interesting to see like the racing side of it and how much work actually really goes into it and how many people were involved in it. That was really cool. And like I knew horse ownership was like expensive, but I didn't realize like the actual kind of figures in that. I know this is a fiction book, so like it might not be accurate, but that was really interesting to learn about. I really loved the side characters in this. So Hank is going to be the new Harvey, that's kind of obvious, but yeah, like the side characters are really interesting, and I did like our main characters. I just didn't really love the relationship. I don't really feel like we got to see it develop properly, and therefore it felt a bit insta-lovey. So we're kind of reading this book, and then suddenly like we just skip like a month or two, and then suddenly they're like all over each other, and I'm just kind of like, we didn't see them develop a friendship, develop a relationship properly, and then suddenly they're all over each other. It just kind of felt insta-lovey, even though it wasn't, because obviously they built this up over a few months. So yeah, I just didn't really love how it was portrayed in this book. I did like them as a couple, like I did enjoy reading about them. I didn't root for them, you know. I didn't like grow to love the relationship as much as I have with other Elsie Silver books that I have read. So yeah, I'm going to give this one a 4 star. I still really enjoyed it. It was a really quick read, really loving, again, like small town romance. I love that kind of thing. So yeah, that's book 1 of this vlog done. So I'm just about halfway through reading The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This one, I really don't know how to describe what's happened so far, because I'm nearly halfway and I'm not really sure where all our characters are gonna like meet and like where this plot's gonna go. So essentially this is a Norse inspired fantasy world, and we're following 3 perspectives. Our first perspective is Orca, and very early on in this book we're just living her home life. Like, you know, she's got a husband, she's got a son, her husband wants to have another baby, and they're just like living life, you know, raising animals to eat and, you know, things like that. And then they visit another village, they trade with another village, and people that they know have been killed and their child taken, and they obviously are worried about this because obviously they have a young child and they knew these people, and the Jarl isn't really that concerned about it because they lived in another village, so they weren't their problem. This issue then comes to their village and she sets out on a bit of like a revenge quest, and we've got sort of like some politics of this world as well. So her Jarl has just sworn fealty to a queen. Our next perspective is Varg, and he is trying to get revenge on the person who killed his sister or something like that, and he needs the help of like a witch, and the only witch he can find works for the Bloodsworn, and so he wants to join the Bloodsworn in order to get access to this witch, and that's following his path in like combat and things like that, and him joining the Bloodsworn. So the Bloodsworn, like, they have fealty to a Jarl, but again it's just kind of like whoever pays them the most, and currently they've sworn fealty to another Jarl who's also under the same queen as Orca's Jarl. So this queen is taking over like quite a bit of the land. And then our third perspective is Elvar, who is the daughter of another Jarl, and she fled his like lands, I guess. In this day and age, you know, the women's job was to be sold off, married, have kids. That's all they ever really did. She didn't want that life for herself, so she joined a, like, again, like a Bloodsworn gang, and they are like mercenaries who fight, and she's just kind of, they're visiting a town that her father's in, and he wants her to come back, and he says that she doesn't have to get married and all that. So that's like the setup of this book. So far, the only interaction our characters have kind of had with each other is that all these Jarls are sworn to like the queen, or I'm not sure who Elva's dad's like sworn to. I don't really know what the sort of plot of this is going to be, really, because like we're just setting up at the moment. I trust John Gwynne. I know he's going to do a fantastic job. It's really fun actually just even reading the setup of this. Like, this is really good so far. Like, he writes combat really well, like the training scenes are really fun, and like, yeah, it's just like really interesting. And like, considering I've read nearly 250 pages, it doesn't really feel like I have, like, because it's just moving so quickly. But yeah, I'm really excited to be back with John Gwynne's writing. I loved the Faithful and the Fallen series that he wrote, so yeah, really excited to read this one. And yeah, another sort of like part of the plot, so there used to be these gods, and there was like offspring of the gods, like I guess they sort of bred with humans. It's not really been explained, but like I guess that's how it works, because we've got humans who are the offspring, and they are considered like tainted, and they are hunted and like killed, or like they're forced to live as slaves. So we've had a little bit about that, mainly with Elvar's perspective. So like the mercenary gang that she's a part of have sold one of these people to her father, and that's kind of, there's been mentions of like the dragon sworn and things like that, so like I'm guessing that's where this is going to go. We're going to learn a bit more about the like history of this world, and maybe how these people aren't as not around as we came to think. I'm sorry, I'm not really doing a very good job of describing this one because it's just really hard. I don't really know where this is going to go, so maybe when I'm a bit further through or I finished it, I could give it a better synopsis. But honestly, like if you love fantasy, like John Gwynne is a fantastic fantasy author. I'd highly recommend all of his works that I've read so far. I am really enjoying this one. It's just like, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know how all three of them are going to link together, and like where this plot is going to kind of go. So yeah, really enjoying it so far, even if I'm not describing it very well. But yeah, I'll check back in when I've got a bit more of an update for you, and maybe I can describe the plot a bit better. But yeah, really enjoying this one so far. So I'm just checking in. I have now finished reading The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I really love this one. I'm going to give this, I think, a 4-star. I think this is a really solid start to the series, and this world is just going to grow and grow and grow. So my plot synopsis in my previous update, I don't think it was very good, but can I give you a better one? Probably not. So let's see, we're still following those 3 characters. I said that Elvar was Bloodsworn. She's not, she's Battlegrim. I got a bit confused. We discover more about Varg and Elvar's background as the story goes on, and at the very end we learn something about Orca as well. She's not really who we thought she was, but in like a good way. I don't know, I guess we'll find out more in book 2. And then obviously on the cover there's a dragon. At the very end we bring dragons into this, or a dragon at least, because I was sort of thinking like there's a dragon on the cover, where's the dragon? And yeah, like we learn a lot more about the gods and this world. So we've got the whole thing with like the tainted, like the children of the gods are tainted. This is presented as a bad thing in this world, and maybe actually this isn't a bad thing. There's more of them in the world than we're led to believe, and this just like expands the world really well. It's a really solid start to the series. I'm really excited to read book 2. Unfortunately, I'm on a book buying ban. Well, not really an official one, but I'm not buying any books for a few months because I got so many for Christmas, so it's going to be a bit of time before I continue this one. But yeah, really love this one. John Gwynne is setting up a fantastic series, and I'm really excited to continue this one. So on to the next book for this vlog. So I'm working all week, so I think I'm going to be taking The Score by Elle Kennedy on my Kindle to read during like my breaks and stuff. So I'll update you as I have an update for that one. And then probably on the weekend I will start Firefight by Brandon Sanderson. So yeah, let's get reading. So I've started reading The Score by Elle Kennedy. I'm about 60% of the way through. So this one we're following Ali, who is Hannah's best friend from the first book, and Dean, who's one of the 4 hockey boys that we follow in this series, who all live in the same house as Garrett from the first book. And Ali has just broken up with her long-term boyfriend Sean. They've been on and off for like the past 4 years. They're kind of like, you know, sweetheart. Basically, he gave her an ultimatum and said that he doesn't want her to pursue acting, which is what she's interested in. She's had a few roles in some TV shows and stuff, so her career is kind of like taking off very slowly. So acting is definitely something she could go into sort of like full time. He doesn't want her to do that. He basically wants her to come home to Vermont with him and basically have children, raise them, be like a homemaker, which she really doesn't want. So she breaks up with him, and he's like, you know, he wants to get her back. She knows that if he texts her, she will give in and get back with him, even though she really doesn't want to. So Hannah suggests that Ali spends the weekend at Garrett's place so that Sean can't come by her dorm. Hannah and Garrett and Logan and Grace from the previous books are all going away for the weekend, and it's just Dean and Tucker in the house. Ali gets there, Dean lets her in. He's in the middle of about to start a threesome with some girls, and he makes them leave, and then him and Ali watch a film together, and they end up getting really drunk and sleeping together. Ali feels really guilty because she's really not like a one-night stand kind of girl, but she decides that like her and Dean have some kind of chemistry, so they're just having a bit of a fling to help her get over Sean. And then Dean's got some stuff going on with his hockey career, so his high school coach that he has sort of like bad blood with comes and joins Briar, and so there's a bit going on there. I'm not loving this one as much as I did like the first and the second one. Like the second one is my absolute favourite. I love Logan and Grace, and Hannah and Garrett, like they were the first couple. They have a special place in my heart. I'm not loving Ali and Dean, mainly because I think some of the things Dean says are really giving me the ick. Like, I don't know, like he is like peak cocky boy, and like like peak fuckboy. Yeah, I'm just not really loving it. Like, I am enjoying it, but just not as much as the first two. I think this is going to be like a solid 4-star, maybe 3.5. But yeah, I don't have much of this left, so I think maybe I could get this finished today. It shouldn't take me too long. So I've got a reading update for you guys. So I did indeed finish The Score by Elle Kennedy. I'm going to give this one a 4 stars, I think. Maybe a 3.5. This wasn't my favourite in the series. Like I said, I'm not really a big fan of Dean. Like, I do like him, but he's not my favourite out of the guys that we're following so far. They're not my favourite couple. I really liked the other themes that this book had going on. Near the end, there is, I'm not going to say what happens because I don't want to spoil it. Grief is portrayed in this book, and I do think that what was happening was resolved quite quickly. So one of our characters like kind of goes into like a spiral with drink and drugs, and then they just like snap out of it, and that's that. And I was kind of a bit like, it's not really like that though, is it? Especially when they've got a history of problems. But yeah, I did enjoy this one. I think I gave it 4 stars. I then started reading Firefight by Brandon Sanderson. So this is the second book in the Reckoners series. This is not part of the Cosmere. So we're following a time in America where superheroes, or epics as they're known in this series, have like taken over America. I'm not sure if it's the rest of the world as well. It kind of is implied that it is. So we're following David, who's not an epic, and his father was killed by one of the sort of most powerful epics called Steelheart, and he's out for revenge. He wants to kill Steelheart, but obviously he can't do it by himself because he's just a normal ordinary human. So he teams up with a group of people called the Reckoners who want to take down the epics as well. So he lives in New Cargo, and that's the plot of the first one. And in the second one, we're still following David and the Reckoners. We're exploring this world a bit more now in Manhattan, which is now known as Babylon Restored, following some other epics who they're trying to take down. So this is a world where like superheroes are bad, but maybe they're not all bad. We're sort of exploring that a bit more, and yeah, it's really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's really quick to read. Brandon Sanderson's writing is always really compelling. I was thinking that I might struggle to get back into this series because I did read the first one like a year and a half ago, but yeah, I can remember quite a bit about it, so I had no problem jumping straight back into the series. But yeah, really enjoying this one so far. I'm about 180 pages in, so I'm hoping to read most of this one today and maybe get finished today or maybe tomorrow. But yeah, really enjoying this one so far. It's really nice to be in a world that Brandon Sanderson has created that's not the Cosmere, because sometimes like I do love reading his works, but sometimes with the Cosmere it's so intense. This is just like a bit of a fun series he's got on the side. But yeah, I think if you really liked The Boys on Amazon, I think it's on Amazon Prime, if you like that series, you'd really enjoy reading this one. But yeah, I'm gonna go and read a bit more of this one. So I'm just coming in to wrap this reading vlog up. I have now finished reading Firefight by Brandon Sanderson, so I'm gonna give this one 4 stars. This is a really solid addition to this series. What I really like about this series is there is an overarching plot of, you know, David taking down all of the epics, but I really do like how each book is kind of contained within itself. So the first one, Steelheart, David is on a quest to take down Steelheart, and then the second one we're moving on to a different epic, and I like that we're not ending on any cliffhangers, and like the story doesn't feel dragged out. It's nice and contained within each book, and I'm really interested to see where the story goes in the last part of this series. So yeah, really enjoyed this one, and yeah, highly recommend if you like The Boys on Amazon Prime. You'd really enjoy this series. Definitely different to anything that Brandon Sanderson has written in like the Cosmere and stuff. So that's going to be it for this week's reading vlog. I hope you've enjoyed. If you've made it this far, please remember to like if you've enjoyed it and subscribe for more bookish content. Comment down below, let me know if you've read any of these books. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion as well, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.